Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. A very warm welcome to the Strategic Business Leader Webinar to Success for exams in December 2021. I am your tutor, Kashif Kamran. Today is the day 3 of this ongoing SBL Webinar to Success. Let's see what's the agenda of the day 3 and let's do a quick recap of the learnings we got from the day 2. Now, in terms of the agenda for the day 3, and just a quick recap of what we were discussing on the day 2. In terms of the day 3 agenda today, we are looking at the technical marks and we'll go deep inside the technical marks today and we'll investigate how can a student increase the opportunity to score more marks in the SBL paper? What exactly you have to do to earn the technical marks and what is the marking scheme around the technical marks? So we'll do a deep inside investigation on the technical marks today. Now, just before starting the day 3 agenda, I hope you all got some insights on the professional marks yesterday when we were discussing the day 2. And we had a deep investigation about how you should be demonstrating the professionalism, the journal professionalism in the exam paper, and how you should be demonstrating the skill. I had a deep investigation with all of you about how you read a statement of the examiner, whereby you need to demonstrate a skill. And the good thing is, every time the examiner will give you a clue or a hint of how to demonstrate the skill. So you cannot just go in the exam hall with the meanings of the skill. You just need to read the statement of the examiner, and that statement of the examiner will help you exactly how you need to demonstrate that skill. And I hope you got the formula of professional marks yesterday, which was the journal professionalism plus the demonstration of skill. So I hope you had a very good learning yesterday on the day 2, whether you watched it live or you watched the recording later on the YouTube channel. Let's start with the day 3. So that was the introduction, right? That was just a recap of the day 2. Now into day 3, welcome to day 3, Webinar to Success for Strategic Business Leader for exams in December 2021. I am your tutor, Kashif Kamran, and the day 3 agenda is to look at the technical marks, which is extremely important because they consist of 80% of your paper. So how would you control the 80% of the paper? What exactly you should be knowing around technical marks? Let's start the journey and let's understand what technical marks are. And we'll take account of the December 18 paper, which we were looking for yesterday as well in terms of professional marks. But now we will be looking today at the technical aspects of it and how you can gain prospects in increasing your technical marks. So I hope you're all ready set for that. Let's resume journey. I hope you can all hear me and you're ready set for the day 3 agenda. Okay, let's take on the Word file then for the day 3, because every day I keep using this Word file as a support file, which later gets to you on the WhatsApp group. And today on the day 3 of this webinar, the objective is to look at the technical marks and how can you increase your prospects of technical marks in the SBL paper. Technical marks, right? That's what we are discussing today in terms of the objective of the day 3. Now you need to be very clear that when you look at the technical marks, that is 80% of the marks in SBL. So 80% of the marks in SBL is technical, and that is exactly what you do in every single exam paper of ACCA. I hope you have no fear factor with technical marks, because that is exactly what you do in every single paper of ACCA, right? So you know what technical marks are. Technical marks is basically the requirement. Now, if you read the requirement well, you carefully identify what you have to do in the requirement, you will be able to score most of your technical marks. So 80% of the marks in SBL, and that 80% is what? That 80% is equal to the requirements, is equal to the requirements, or more importantly, in a computer-based exam, they are known as tasks. So you have a couple of tasks, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B. You have so many tasks to do, right? So every task has to be done in the way the examiner wants it to be done. Now, every task has a professional marks. We discussed that yesterday. I hope you agree with me. But today we are just discussing the technical side. We're not discussing the professional sides at all today, because you need to watch the day 2 of the webinar for the professional side. Today we are looking at the technical side. So exactly the 80% marks is the requirements, is the task. Now, how would you go about gaining more? Now, the first and the most important thing which I will be demonstrating in the live webinar is how you read a task, how you read a requirement. Because a lot of time I've seen students, either they are in a hurry, or even if they are not in hurry, they don't know how to read a requirement. They don't stop at a comma. They don't stop at a full stop. They don't even stop at a word and. So many times when you read a requirement, it has a comma. So many times you read a requirement, it has and, and you don't understand it. You just read the requirement at a hurry without even recognizing that within one requirement, examiner can be asking you more than one thing. And you just believe that one requirement is one thing, and you get the wrong answer. So reading the requirement is extremely important. That's where I will be focusing today. And because if you read the requirement, you understand the requirement, then only you can write a good answer. So the objective today is to look at reading of the requirement. And I'll do that with you, as I did the professional marks yesterday. I hope you got some message from professional marks when we were reading professional marks yesterday, that how important is it to read the professional marks in the exam paper? Because if you read them, you exactly know what is to be done, right? So today we'll do the same exercise on the technical side, reading of the requirement, number one. Because if you read the requirement, you are on the right track. But if you read the requirement, if you fail to read the requirement, you are on the wrong track. So reading the requirement is important, because if you read the requirement well, you will understand exactly what is to be done, exactly what is to be done, or what is required. And then you will be able to answer each and every aspect of the requirement. And then you will be able to answer each and every aspect of the requirement. But if you're not reading it well, you might not be answering each and every aspect of the requirement. You might be partially answering the requirement. But if you want to fully answer the requirement, then reading it very, very well, reading it very carefully is extremely important, right? So reading of the requirement is important. I hope you're getting this message, and I will be demonstrating that. Because when you read it well, you will understand exactly what is being asked for, what is to be done, or what is required. And then you will be able to answer each and every aspect of the requirement to maximize your opportunities to score marks. I hope you are with me, right? Now, the first thing is reading the requirement to understand what is to be done. Then when you read the requirement, what is the next step? You read the requirement. The next step is to link the requirement with the case study. Link the requirement with the case study, and identify the answer from the case, Pick up the points from the case, which link with requirement, that is, annotate the points while you are reading. Annotate the points from the case while you are reading. So once you know what to do, then you go back to the case study, exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, exhibit 4, exhibit 5, and you start picking up the information which will help you answer the requirement. Wherever you find that information, you will annotate that. And I will be demonstrating that on the final day, the fourth day, when I take on the practice platform. But read the requirement, then link the requirement with the case study and identify the answer from the case. Now, once you've identified the answer from the case, it's now to convert the points from the case into a proper answer by explaining each point very well. By explaining each point very well in the context of case, and each point explained should not be more than 4 sentences long, should not be more than 4 sentences long. Look at the bullets. Look at the bullets. We're going back to the presentation and then starting a drill of the December 18 paper. Look at the first one. Reading the requirement. I will demonstrate that today. Number 1. Number 2, link the requirement with the case study. I will demonstrate that. And number 3, convert the points from the case into a proper answer. And you start explaining each and every point and you start explaining them in the context of the case, not more than 4 sentences long. Is everyone clear with the last 3 bullets on your screen? Reading, linking, converting. And we'll focus on that. Reading, linking, converting. Will you remember this mnemonic? RLC, reading, linking, converting. Right? Okay, let's do an exercise on this. Reading, linking, converting. But just before that, I need to move back to my presentation for technical marks. I need to discuss with you something which I put on the presentation carefully. Now, the first thing, case specific is the key. Case specific is the key. You need to build an answer closer to the case study to fetch most of your marks. You need to understand a lot of time students don't pay attention to the case study. They try picking up a very hypothetical answer, or they try picking up an answer which is more like an illusion. That is not an answer which can be found in the case study. When you are reading a case study, which is as long as an SBL case study, you need to find the proper points from the case study, which you convert into the answer. You cannot take wild assumptions. You cannot take hypothetical assumptions because everything will be defined in the case. You just need to pick the right information from the case and you convert that right information into your answer. So the more close you are to the case study, look at my hands. The more close you are to the case study, you will pass. The more far you are from the case study, you will fail. So you need to be with the case study, right? You need to find the relevant information from the case study and you need to put it down into your answer. So try to write a case specific answer. The more journal answer you write, you will fail. Number 1. Number 2, writing rote learn stuff is of no use. You have the BPP knowledge, you have the Kaplan knowledge, and you take it to the exam hall. A question comes on integrated reporting, and you reproduce the knowledge of integrated reporting from the book. Of no use. Because if the question is on integrated reporting and you pick up the topic doesn't mean that you produce everything you know about integrated reporting on the exam, in the exam paper. Look at the question. What is the examiner asking for integrated reporting? What the examiner wants you to do around integrated reporting, rather than you start telling the history of integrated reporting, the 6 capitals of integrated reporting, the benefits of integrated reporting, the disadvantages of integrated reporting, because you learned that from the BPP book or Kaplan book. So knowledge alone or the rote learn knowledge alone is useless unless and until, look at the point number 3. You can use knowledge, no doubt about that. You should have knowledge about Porter Diamond. You should have knowledge about Pestel. You should have knowledge about SWOT. You should have knowledge about the NSOF metrics. You should have knowledge about BCG metrics. You should have knowledge about the NEDs. You should have knowledge about remuneration committee, nomination committee, audit committee. You should have knowledge about so many things in the SBL paper. But you cannot just reproduce the same knowledge on the answer booklet. or in your answer. You can use knowledge about the topic, test it. Suppose a question comes on NED, you can use knowledge of NED you have. A question comes on integrated reporting, you can use the knowledge you have about integrated reporting, but it should be adapted. It should be adapted. Look at this. But it should be modified. It should be changed in the context of the study, in the context of the case study. But if you reproduce the same knowledge without modifying it, without adapting it, without changing it in the context of the case, that's useless. Are you getting my point number 3? So the knowledge has to be adapted in the case study. The knowledge has to be modified in the case study. The knowledge has to be changed in the case study for you to pass. But if you just produce the rote learn knowledge as it is without even modifying it in the case study, is of no use. I hope you're getting the point number 2 and 3, everyone. So is there an importance of adapting? Is there an importance of adapting, modifying and changing, everyone? So the more you do, the better. Okay, great. Thank you. Now, next, demonstration of technical knowledge or explanation of the theory without application will score nothing. So if you're just demonstrating your knowledge about integrated reporting, or you're just demonstrating your knowledge about NSOF metrics, or you're just demonstrating your knowledge about Porter Diamond, but you're not linking the Porter Diamond with the case study, you're not linking the NSOF metrics with the case study, or you're not linking the Menlo metrics with the case study, but you're rather just telling generally about the Menlo metrics, that is of no use. So technical knowledge or explanation without application is a big cross. Without application is a big cross. So you need to link. So I hope you're getting the message. Sync your knowledge with the case study. So one thing is a case study, one thing is a knowledge. Knowledge and case study should sync. Look at my hands. Knowledge, case study, they should sync together. They should sync together. But if you just keep the knowledge as it is and you say, oh, this is the knowledge, and I'll go down and I just look at the word integrated reporting, I'll produce everything I know. I look at the word macro environment and I produce everything I know about pestle. That's not the way. That's not the way you go with SBL paper. So alone knowledge will help you pass the SBL paper, everyone. Alone knowledge will help you pass the SBL paper. No, but what you need to do, with knowledge, everyone, what you need to do with knowledge, you need to apply it, you need to adapt it, you need to change it, you need to modify it. Wonderful answers. Is everyone clear with the 4 points on screen? Let's move on. The 5th, the more case you absorb in your answer, you will be successful. So it's about absorption of the case, right? So the more case you absorb, you are successful. I hope you're getting that word absorb, right? Absorbing is the key. So the more you absorb, the better for you. The more you sync, the better for you. The more you link, the better for you. So what is the first understanding we're getting today? Linking, syncing, absorbing the case study in your answer. The better, the more, the better. So let's take that on my Word file and then come back to the next point. Some of the key learnings, right, which you should take today at the end of the session. The first key learning we're getting, number 1, is sync, absorb, and link your answer with the case study. The more, the better. The more, the better. Is everyone clear with the first one? Is that the summary of the first thing we discussed today? Sync, absorb, and link your answer with the case study. The more, the better. Is number 1 clear to all of you? Okay, number 2. Technical marks, how to gain them? How would you gain the technical marks? To gain each technical mark, candidates needs to make point that addresses the requirement of a question. I've just been focused on that since the start of the day 3, that you need to address the requirement. When you need to write a good answer, what is a good answer? The one which addresses the requirement of the question. So reading the requirement is extremely important. Understanding the requirement is extremely important, because that's the only way you can link the answer to the question. You can sync the answer to the question. So if you want to earn the technical marks, address the requirement, address the question, because most of the time the student also misunderstood the question or misunderstand the question, and you get to the wrong track. Number one. Number two, apply to the organization. That's what we have been discussing in the last 10 minutes. Apply to the organization. There must be an organization in the case study. Just like yesterday, we were discussing the December 18 paper. There was a hotel, highlight hotel. So you need to apply everything to the highlight hotel. So in every case study, there will be an organization. So you try to apply it to the organization, right? Not to someone, not to anything else. So you're trying to apply everything to the given organization. Are specific to the decision or situation covered in the question requirement. You need to be very specific when you're answering, and you need to be very specific around the question, around the information given to you in the case study. So you need to involve in the exhibits. You need to identify the right information from the exhibit. You need to keep yourself specific to the information. Don't go out of the information. Don't take any hypothetical assumption. So be specific. And the last thing, show the reader why the point being made is significant. If you're writing a point, ask yourself when you're writing a point, why it's important. Why am I writing this point? Because every point I'm writing in the SBL paper is addressing the senior management, is addressing the strategic leaders. So if I'm writing a point, is it a valid point? Is it an important point? But why? You need to speak of the significance of the point you're writing. You need to justify the significance of the point you're writing, because that is a very, very important ability. So how will you gain the technical marks? Number one, you understand the requirement. Then you develop an answer which is close to the requirement. You keep yourself specific to the information given in the case study. And then whichever point you are developing, try to justify the significance of that point. So that's one way of thinking and ensuring that you're increasing your confidence level on the technical marks. I will be demonstrating all what I'm discussing. I'm just first trying to create a platform, and then I'll just be doing a drill on that platform. Fetch up to 2 marks. This is the most common marking scheme. You look at the examiner reports, and every time you open an examiner report of a exam sitting, examiner says there are 2 marks per valid point. So that's a very flat marking scheme of an SBL paper. Up to 2 marks were often available for a well-developed point. For a well-developed point. Now, if your point is not well-developed, you might just be scoring 1. But if it is a well-developed point, you're scoring up to 2 marks. So if it is a 10 marks question, I should write 5 well-developed points to score 10 marks. But if your point is not well-developed, you might score one mark, not even 2. So your point needs to be well-developed. So what is the definition of a well-developed point? We'll be coming across that today, because a well-developed point will give you 2 marks. However, candidates are reminded. This is the examiner wording, right? I've took this wording from the examiner report, from the March-June 21 report. However, candidates are reminded that this will only occur when the candidate has successfully identified something from the case study and successfully explained a relevant point and has correctly developed the point. So if you have picked up the right point from the case study, you have explained the point in the right direction of the case study, you have developed the point in the right context of the requirement, then that will be a well-developed point. So you should be looking after what is a well-developed point is equal to 2 marks. So a well-developed point is the one which is linked to the case, identified from the case, picked from the case, and you justified that in the context of the case. So again, coming back to the same theory, absorb, sink, link. So if a point is picked from the case, linked to the case, absorbed to the case, and is addressing the requirement will that be a well-developed point? So you need to have a well-developed point for 2 marks. Let's go back to the key learnings. Let's make a formula for well-developed point. A well-developed point is equal to 2 marks. So if we use the short form well-developed point, so that will become well-developed point. WDP is equal to 2 marks. Now, if someone asks you what is a well-developed point, you will say, okay, a well-developed point is one which is picked from the case, Number 2, which address the requirement of the question, is well explained in context of the requirement, and case, and is well explained in the context of the requirement and case. That is it. It's picked, it addressed, and is well explained. You pick it up from the case, you address the requirement, and it was well explained in context. So if it was well explained in context, that's wonderful. And that will become a worthy 2 marks point. And again, you know, a 2 marks point should not be more than 4 sentences long, right? Should not be more than 4 sentences long. It doesn't mean a well-developed point, you start writing it. And should not be more than 4 sentences long. Again and again, we're coming back to the same thing. 4 sentences long, full stop. Is that clear to all of you? Well-developed point. We'll be going into the demonstration phase shortly. But is everyone clear? Okay, moving backwards to the presentation, then starting on with the drilling. Some specific December 18 comments with example, and then we go to the December 18 paper. Now, when I was preparing for the day 3 of the webinar, because we have to do the December 18 paper, and we even had a view of the December 18 paper yesterday on the day 2 of the webinar when we were discussing the professional skill marks. I saw some comments of the examiner from the December 18 paper, from the report of the examiner, which I have encouraged all of you to read. And I hope you are reading the examiner reports because that's extremely important. I found some points which are good enough. Number 1, there was a question 2B in the paper December 18. We came across that question 2B yesterday on the day 2 of the webinar, and we'll be doing that today as well for technical marks. In the question number 2B, weaker candidates saw trigger word or syllabus topics such as integrated reporting. Now, the question was about integrated reporting. So the weaker candidates just saw the trigger word or just saw the syllabus topic. They just saw the word integrated reporting in the question number 2B and wrote all they knew about the topic without application to the question requirement or highlight own requirement. So if you just start to speak everything about integrated reporting, not even realizing what the question is asking. So if you just pick the trigger word, or if you just pick the syllabus topic from the question, and you say, oh, this question is on NEDs, this question is on the unitary board, or this question is on the remuneration committee, and you start to write everything you know about remuneration committee, not even realizing what the question is asking for remuneration committee. So examiner is saying these are weaker students. How many of you do that? How many of you just pick the trigger word from the question and say, oh, this question is from this topic. Let's put everything we know about it. I hope none of you do that because you're just 12 days away from your exam paper. But that's a very weak approach towards your paper, that you pick up the trigger words. Is that clear to all of you? We came across this question integrated reporting yesterday on the day 2, which was asking for the roles and benefits of the integrated reporting. Okay, great. Thank you, Wakas, for confirming that. Next, question number 1B of the December 18 paper. In addition, journal remarks such as the business should undertake a more detailed analysis, open and close inverted commas. Examiner is saying if you put something journal, the business should undertake a more detailed analysis, were insufficient to gain a mark, as in the question number 1B, as this was just not specific enough for the needs of the finance director in progressing with the decision to invest in ComfiStay or not. The question number 1B was about an acquisition decision, whether the company should acquire the ComfiStay hotel or not. Now, when you are writing an answer whether the company should acquire a ComfiStay hotel or not, and you're writing this to the finance director, you're telling finance director whether you should acquire the ComfiStay hotel or not, and you're writing a statement, the business should undertake more detailed analysis. Look at the ambiguity. The business should undertake. First of all, which business are we talking about? Rather, we should have said that the Highlight Hotel or the Highlight Hotel Board of Director. Can you be very specific about the name of the business in the exam paper? Can you be very particular about not using the word journal business in exam? So what business? Which business? The Highlight Hotel, the business. You need to specify the business. Should undertake more detailed analysis. More detailed analysis. Which one? Should you give some suggestions to the finance director that what detailed analysis should be needed? What sort of detailed analysis you should do of the ComfiStay hotel? Like you should look at the commercial side of the ComfiStay hotel. You should look at the financial side of the ComfiStay hotel. You look at the technical side of the ComfiStay hotel before you acquire it. If you just tell the finance director that you should do a more detailed analysis, the finance director would ask you, I have hired you for that. And you are telling me that I should do a more detailed analysis. And you're not even telling me what detailed analysis should I do. So is that a very blank statement that the business should do more detailed analysis, not even telling what detailed analysis are required? Are you giving some examples of the detailed analysis to make your point well here? Are you spelling the name of the business? Are you getting my point, everyone? How journal that statement looks like? You're not even telling the business here. You're not even defining the business. And then you're saying a more detailed analysis. Is that the right statement to be given to a finance director? The finance director will say, I'm hiring you for that. And you are telling me that I should do a more detailed analysis. Tell me what? I'm paying you for that. Tell me what? So should you give some suggestions in a very proper manner? Should you give some suggestions of what detailed analysis could be? Are you getting my point, everyone, in the point number 2 on your screen? So examiner is giving you some eye openers. I hope you're getting those eye openers, right? Next. Question number 1A. We'll be coming to that question. Even we discussed that yesterday. Similarly, levering in a technical framework unnecessarily as the basis for organizing an answer led many candidates into forcing their answer to fit the framework and crucially providing an answer that was not in the form helpful to the recipient. Levering into a framework unnecessarily, wonderful, as the basis for organizing your answer and forcing their answer into a framework. How many of you do that? You unnecessarily try to think that there is an application of a model in every requirement of the SBL paper. How many of you think that? Because see, what is the examiner telling you? Examiner is saying levering into a technical framework unnecessarily. Do you believe every requirement of an SBL paper will have a model which you have to fit in? Okay, that's very good that some of you are agreeing to that. Not every requirement of the SBL paper has a model or a framework to be connected. How many times the student read a question and then they start to think, what model, which model, which model, which model, which model, and they get confused. And then even if they don't understand a model, they will apply an illogical model and try to give the answer. Do you believe at times the model restrict your answer. See this next bullet of the examiner, forcing their answer to fit the framework. Now, when you choose a model, you are trying to limit the answer within the model. Right, wrong? When you pick up a model, you try to force your answer within the model, and that might limit your answer. So every requirement of SBL do have a model, true, false? False. I'll demonstrate that today. But the student community thinks that every requirement of an SBL has a model, and they try to forcefully identify it. Now, in the question number 1A, which we discussed yesterday even, I hope you remember, and we will be coming to that today as well. The basic application in that question was of a Porter diamond. If you have to apply a model, that was Porter diamond. But see what the question did here. For example, in question number 1A, some candidates used a SWOT to structure their answer. So they forcefully use a SWOT model to structure their answer, which was not particularly useful framework, and as such presented information, weaknesses in particular, which was not useful to the recipient of the briefing note. The question was asking the key factors which have enabled highlight to be successful, key factors which made you successful. And you applied a SWOT model, and unnecessarily you are telling the weaknesses when the question is asking you the factors which enabled you to be successful. If the question is asking you factors which enabled you to be successful, and you are applying a SWOT model and you're telling weaknesses, is that addressing the requirement of the question? Tell me. Factors which enabled you to be successful. What is the correlation of that with SWOT model? Is there any correlation? Factors which enabled you to be successful versus a SWOT model? So if the question is asking factors which enabled you to be successful, so are we just looking at the positive side? Are we just looking at the positive side? Factors which enabled you to be successful. But if you write a SWOT model, will you be looking at the weaknesses? Are you giving the wrong answer? So picking up the wrong model with the courage, that's excellent, right? So many students pick up the wrong model with the courage, and then they're so happy. And then they apply the wrong model with courage. And then they come out of the exam hall with courage and they will pass the SPL paper. And when the result comes out, they down fail. You have so much courage to apply the wrong model. You have so much courage to even write the answer on a wrong model. How much time you waste picking up the model? And if you don't pick up the model, you pick the wrong model. I hope you're getting my point here. The examiner is very critical of students here that they forcefully pick wrong models when there is no need of picking the model, and you're trying to limit your answer if you're picking up the wrong model. So model may not be the best approach to your answer. I hope you're getting some mindset here. Okay, let's go back to my understanding of the December 18 paper, because that's what we need to stretch today. I hope you can see the December 18 paper in front of your screen now. Just give me 1 minute before I can remove everything from it, so you get a neat and clean paper on your screen. Just 1 second. I hope you can see the December 18 paper on your screen. I'll be using the PDF version. Tomorrow, I'll use the platform. So I'll tell you everything about the practice platform on the final day. But I hope you can see the paper in front of your screen now. Please confirm that. Okay, great. Thank you. Now, we'll be looking at the paper today for technical marks. We'll be looking at the application of what we learned in the last 30 minutes in terms of technical marks. Whatever I discussed with you for technical marks, I'll try to demonstrate that when I go over the technical marks of this paper. And you will be amazed to learn so many weaknesses you might be doing at this point in time when your exams are just 12 days away. Now, just before I started, I want to put on your screen something very, very important. I hope on the very first day of the webinar, I recommended you that there is an article which I've put in the Google Drive as well. And the article is right in front of your screen. Can you see an article, 10 things to learn from a September 2018 setting? This article is in the Google Drive, 10 things to learn from the September 18 paper. And I think one of them was discussed in the previous 2 days. 10 things to learn. Can you look at the 10 things here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10. And have we covered the number 5 already? Number 5 and number 6 already yesterday? Avoid long paragraphs and head paragraph clearly. Headings and avoiding long paragraph. Have we covered them yesterday in terms of journal professionalism, 5 and 6? Good. Now, which of the 10 things are we looking today? I'm looking at number 3. Click on number 3 and we come to number 3. Look at what is written in the number 3. 10 things to learn from September 2018. Look at the number 3 heading. See what number 3 is telling you. This is the biggest problem with students. They try to connect every requirement with a model unnecessarily. A model may not be the best structure of the answer. Don't forcefully think of a model when it's not explicit. You can answer the question without a model even. I'll just give you an example of that today. But examiner is saying sometimes the student forcefully pick up a model for every requirement, just like the SWOT model we were discussing shortly. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute. Can you just read it on your own here? Can you read this in front of your screen? Is that visible to all of you? Can you read this out? Okay, just please read it out. I'm giving you 1 minute and then I'll interact with you. So is the examiner saying that at times when we try to pick up a model, we try to limit the answer? Is the examiner saying that a model limits the depth of the answer? Because you try to put everything within the headings of the model. You're not thinking anything out of the model. So not necessarily model may be the best answer. Because if you exclude the model, can you write more? Because what happens with a model? You have 4 headings. For example, you have 4 headings in the model. So you'll try to fit everything under the 4 headings. You might not even be thinking of the 5th thing. But if you remove the model, can you write an open journal answer, which might be more diversified and more better? So not necessarily every time you pick up a model in the SBL paper. Let's go down with the demonstration of that. I hope you're getting the sense of this paragraph here, right? Model may not be the best structure of the answer. Examiner is addressing to the September 18 paper here. So when the examiner says question number 1A or the examiner says question number 3A, this is with reference to the September 18 paper. So you can keep that in front of you and you can then read this. Will make more sense to you. Is that clear to all of you? Should we start looking at the December 18 paper and start with the analysis of the December 18 paper in terms of the technical marks? Just let me take on my Word file for 1 minute. We got some key learnings today about syncing, absorbing, and linking the answer with a case study. And we got some relevance to model, a well-developed point. And the last thing is what we got is model may not be the best answer. Don't forcefully pick a model. Don't forcefully pick a model. If there is a model and there is an explicit model, then go about it. But don't forcefully pick up a model because you might be wrong. So that's what we learned, right? Okay, let's go down with the application of the technical marks now. Okay, so every well-developed point will give me how many marks in SBL? Application of technical marks. And we're looking at the December 2018 paper as an example. So we're taking December 2018 paper as an example. Thank you for confirming that, everyone. Okay, I hope you can all see this on the screen, right? Application of technical marks, December 18 paper as an example. Let's go one by one. in each of the questions. Thank you. Okay, let's open the question. Let's see how many can we do before the break. I hope you can see the December 18 paper now in front of your screen. Please confirm before we start the analysis. Okay, can you all see the December 18 paper in front of your screen? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, you go down. How you read, how you plan, how you write. We'll do that tomorrow on the final day when we take on the practice platform for the same question, December 18. But currently, we're just looking at the technical marks, right? So I'll not be telling you how you read and how you plan. We'll just be attacking the requirements. Now, you have requirements, right? Which is known as the task. So the task shown below. Now, every time you look at a task in the SBL paper, the good thing is, before every task, can you see there is a short case study before every task examiner gives you? There is a short case study before a task comes to you. And that is extremely important to understand what to do. A lot of time, students just focus on the task, not look at the small case study. So when you are reading a task, how you read it. Now you will copy this from here, 1A, and you will take the whole task from here to here. This is one task, right, in front of your screen, which has a short case study, followed by the requirement, and the requirement followed by the professional marks. So when you look at one task, this is one task, right? And in one task, how many things you have? In one task, how many things you have, everyone? In one task, you have 3 things. Number 1, you have this case study. You have this case. Number 2, you have the requirements, 1, 2, and number 3 you have is the professional skill marks, which we have covered yesterday. So when you look at one task, how many things are there in one task? 3. The case study, the small case. 2, the requirement. 3, the professional marks. And that makes one set of requirement. Now, when you're reading it, you have to read as full so that you get the full benefit of it. Let me demonstrate that to you. Okay, I'll take this full task on my Word file. We'll spend a bit of more time on the first task, and efficiency will ensure that the time we are spending on every task goes down by the end of the session, right? So the first will take a lot of time. Just let me copy the first task from here to here and take it on my Word file. Okay, we have the task 1A. Copy paste. So this is the task 1A on your screen. Now, when you're reading the task 1A in exam, how would you do it? Just give me 1 minute so I can arrange it very properly for you. So again, when you get the file on the WhatsApp group, you can take a printout, and that makes sense to all of you. Okay, we've done the professional marks yesterday, so I'll not be focusing on that today, but we're just looking at how you read a task, right? That's the focal point today. Okay, look at it. Now, when you're reading the first task, you first start with a case, which is right here. So this is the case, right? Let's put this in red. And you read the case first. The case tells you the board of Highlight is currently looking to develop the Highlight business model in Willandia, a developing country with a good growth potential. So is the Highlight business looking to go to another country? The board of Highlight is looking to develop the Highlight business model in another country, Willandia, right? They are looking to develop the business model in Willandia, a developing country with a good growth potential, right? Good. However, as operating in a different country would be a new strategic direction, because they're not operating in a new country so far. So this will be a very new direction for them, going to a new country. So operating in a different country would be a new strategic direction for the Highlight. The finance director has stated that before any such strategy is considered, means before going to Well India. So before going to Well India, the finance director is saying it is important to understand the key factors in the home country of D-Land, which has driven Highlight success. What are the key factors in the home country where Highlight has been operating for a number of years? What have been the key factors in the home country D-Land, which has contributed to the success of the Highlight Hotel? So is the finance director saying we should first consider which factors in the home country has prompted the growth of Highlight, and then see whether those factors are available in Well India? And if those factors are available in Well India, we can have a super growth in Well India. So is the finance director telling us that we should first investigate the factors in the home country which has encouraged growth? So are we looking at factors for Well India, or are we looking at factors for D-Land where they are operating already? Tell me. Are we looking at the key factors in Well India, the new economy, or the new growth potential, or are we looking at the factors in our existing country, D-Land, and the reason why you have been successful in D-Land? In D-Land, right? Factors in D-Land, existing. Okay, requirement. The chief business analyst has asked you to prepare a briefing notes for the finance director for consideration at the next board meeting, which discusses the key factors which have enabled Highlight to be successful in the home country D-Land, which discusses the key factor. Now, one student says that the key factors in home country is equal to Porter National Diamond. And you say, oh, Porter National Diamond, because we're looking at a home country. We're looking at the factors of the home country which contributed to the growth of the Highlight Hotel. And one student says, oh, this is a Porter Diamond. And he frames the answer on Porter Diamond. How many of you agree here that there is an application of a Porter Diamond here? The Porter National Advantage. Is there a national advantage in D-Land which has prompted the growth of Highlight Hotel? Right? So how many of you thought of the Porter Diamond when we were discussing this question? Almost everyone. So are we talking about a national advantage here? The national advantage D-Land which contributed to the hotel growth. So is there a national advantage in D-Land? Right? So how many of you thought about Porter National Diamond? Just say we thought, or just say I in your answer. How many of you thought about it? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Bezad is saying no. Okay, good. So we got majority saying I thought, 1 saying no, Ikra saying no. Okay, so one student says the key factors in the home country, Porter Diamond, that's 1. One student says, one student didn't thought about Porter Diamond, and he says, okay, key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful. And the student just read the case and he picks the factors from the case which contributed to Highlight success in D-Land, and read the case, pick the factors from the case which contributed to the Highlight success in D-Land, as like 8 factors, each worth 2 marks is equal to 16 marks. And he didn't thought about the Porter Diamond. Will he be rewarded? Yes, because examiner is saying the model is not the way to answer the questions. You cannot forcefully answer questions in the form of the model. So one student answered the question in Porter Diamond, wonderful, you will be rewarded. One student didn't thought about Porter Diamond, and he just picked up the factors generally from the case, internal factors or external factors which contributed to the success of the Highlight Hotel in D-Land, and that's a wonderful answer. So both the students are right. The one picking up the model and closing the question around the Porter Diamond. How many headings are there in the Porter Diamond? How many headings are there in the Porter diamond? 4. Very good. So if a student picks the Porter diamond, you will be answering question around the Porter diamond, the 4 headings, right? So if a student goes with Porter diamond, how many headings will you have in the answer? Number 1, the factor conditions, if I'm right, factor conditions. Then I think the second one is the demand, exactly, demand conditions. Then you will be looking at the rivalry, sorry, supported and related industries, supported and related industries. And then you will be looking at the rivalry and the structure, etc. So you will be making your 16 marks answer under 4 headings. Now, for example, under factor condition, you find 1 point. Suppose you find 1 point under factor condition. So how many marks will you get here? 2 marks. You find another 1 point. You find another 1 point under factor condition. You get another 2 marks. So how many marks have you got under factor conditions? 4. You get to the demand condition. Under demand condition, there was only 1 point, and you got 2 marks. So out of the 16 marks you've got so far, 6. Then you went to the supported and related industry, and you got 1 point under supported and related industry. You got 2 marks. Then you found another point under supported and related industry, and you write that as well. And you get another 2 marks. Then you get to the rivalry and structure. Under rivalry and structure, you got 0.1, you got 0.2, you got 0.3. So you got 3 points under that, and each of them give you 2 marks. So under 4 headings, you are accumulating your points to 16. Sorry, marks to 16. Now see, under first heading of factor condition, how many marks you got? Because you wrote 2 points under factor condition, 1 point, 2 point, and you got 4 marks. Under demand condition, you wrote 1 point. Under supported and related industry, you wrote 2 points. Under the rivalry and structure, you wrote 3 points, sorry. So one student used the 4 headings of the Porter diamond, and he tried connecting that with D-land. Yes, it will be wrong, Ananya, because there is no application of pestle here. Pestle means macro environment. Examiner is not using the word macro environment in the case study. Examiner is using the word D-land, country. So whenever the examiner focus on a country environment, the country environment comes from the Porter diamond. If the examiner used the word macro environment, external environment, then that is a clue for using pestle in the answer, right? So if you're using pestle in this answer, that will be absolutely wrong. So is that clear? If can a student go with 4 headings of Porter diamond, 1, 2, 3, 4, and still fetch 16 marks under the 4 headings? Right? But one student says, I don't know the Porter National Diamond. And he goes with journal factors like this. The student says, okay, I just put a heading, key factors, and he starts reading the case study. Which factors enabled Highlight to be successful in the home country of D-land? And he goes back to the case study and he starts reading the case study. Okay, let's find the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful in D-land. He goes to the exhibit number 1. And in the exhibit number 1, he reads the report of the chairman. And in the report of the chairman, he was reading to find the key factors which made Highlight successful. He didn't know the Porter. In Highlight, we have created D-land's most popular hotel brand. It is the strength of our brand, along with the superb hotel staff who delivers great service every day, which underpins our success and is a key driver of our future growth. So one student says, okay, one of the key factors for their success in home country is the superb hotel staff. So he says, okay, I'll write something on the superb hotel staff to fetch 2 marks. No, this is the problem, right? Now, one student is saying, can we use the Porter value chain? One student is saying, can we use the pestle? This is the problem, right? That's where you pick the wrong model. But look at the second alternative you have. If you don't know the right model, instead of using a wrong model, can you just pick up the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful? So tell me, on the screen, is a superb hotel staff one of the key factors which contributed to their success? Agree, disagree? So can we put a heading superb hotel staff and right under it? Is that one of a key factor? Is that one of a key factor which contributed to the success story? Can you all see that on your screen? Move further. We continue to deliver a market-leading customer experience by focus on quality of our service, the best choice of locations, and a great value for money. So do you believe the quality of the service is another factor which boosted their success story in the home country? Do you think the best choice of locations is another factor which contributed to their success story? 3. Through our network of 510 hotels, we offer customers the widest choice of locations. So do you believe this widest choice of hotel is another factor which contributed to their success story? So can you just pick up the key factors this way? So can you pick up the key factors this way and you justify these are the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful rather than putting them under the Porter diamond? So tell me, is every time will model be the best answer? No. You need to find an answer here. Key factors. Which key factors? For example, number one key factor which we found was what? If you can just help me reconcile the answer. The first key factor we got was the superb hotel staff. The second key factor we got was number of locations. I think another key factor we got was quality, the quality of service. So can a student go this way? Heading, answer. So you pick this as a heading and you fetch 2 marks when you write the answer. Then you fetch 2 marks when you write the answer. Then you fetch 2 marks when you write the answer. So how many headings you should have for key factors then? 8, right? And you fetch 16 marks. So this is one way of writing the answer, right? So this is the alternative. So one student can go with the alternative, this one, and still fetch the 16 marks. And one student go with the Porter diamond. So this is the alternative one. You pick up the Porter National Diamond and you classify your answer under the 4 headings of the Porter National Diamond, and you still fetch your 16 marks. That's wonderful. Another student finds the alternative 2, and in the alternative 2, he didn't thought about a model, rather he picked up the key factors. So are both students rewarding? The alternative 1 student will also get marks. The alternative 2 student will also get marks. So is that decreasing your exam tension? So model may not be the best answer. Are you getting this? Look at this. Look at this on your screen. A model may not be the best structure of the answer. So one student just look at the word key factors and he thought, okay, key factors, I'll just pick them up from the case study. So easy. And he picked 8 key factors from the case study and write up the answer. But one student said, okay, I'll just keep the key factors under the 4 headings of the Porter diamond. One key factor is factor condition. One key factor is the demand condition. One key factor is the supported and related industry. And I'll just pick my answer under the 4 headings. Both are good. Both are equally good. Okay, let's go back to the question structure again. Okay, now is everyone getting the question number 1? So the key picking here was the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful. So one student control the key factors broadly. One student put the key factors under the Porter National Diamond. Good, clear, everyone? We did the professional marks yesterday, so I'm not focusing on that. Okay, move to the next requirement before we take a break. The second requirement. Again, before the second requirement, we have a case study. And the case study is followed by just one good clarification. I hope when we were taking the session yesterday, day 2, I did clear that in terms of the professional marks, examiner was saying investigating and considering information from range of sources. So when you're picking up the key factors, you will try picking up the key factors from not just one exhibit, but from several exhibits, right? So if you pick up the key factors just from one exhibit, that's wrong. You need to pick up the key factors from several exhibits. Is that right? Did I came across that yesterday on the day 2 when I was explaining to you the professional marks? Deanna Chase is asking, can we use 2 models to answer one question? Not at all, not at all. Either it's one model, the right one, or you're answering a question without model. You can never use 2 models in one answer. Please, never. I hope you're clear on that. Okay, so did I mention that in the professional marks yesterday that you have to pick the key factors from range of sources? Is the examiner telling that in the professional marks for the question number 1A? Is everyone clear with me? Okay, thank you. Moving to the question number 1B now. Let's investigate what's in the question number 1B. I'm taking this to my Word file, task 1B. I hope you're all clear with the task 1A. And you got the application that model may not be the best answer. And you go to the task 1B then. Task 1B. Okay, you copy paste task 1B on your screen. And let's see what is the case study of the task 1B and what exactly the task 1B is asking us to do. So one of the key learning you got so far is model may not be the best answer. Now, if you keep that at the back of the mind, your stress level will go down over the next 12 days. Yes, if you're using a specific model, you will not put Porter National Diamond as a heading. You will just use the headings of the model like factor condition. So automatically when you say factor condition, the examiner will know, okay, you are using the Porter National Diamond. So you will not name the model. You will just use the headings of the model. Is that clear? Okay, good. Thank you. That was a question from a student, right? Okay, now look at the task 1B. The task 1B says the board of highlight has identified an existing chain of hotel called Comfy Stay located in Villandia, which it is considering for acquiring. So you are thinking of going to Villandia by acquiring a Comfy Stay hotel located in Villandia. So that is one good way of entering the economy. So what is the way you found to enter Villandia? What is the way you found to enter in Villandia? Acquisition. So you're going with an acquisition model and you have thought of a hotel Comfy Stay. You're thinking about acquiring it to enter Villandia. The chief business analyst has passed you a fact sheet which he prepared containing data relating to the proposed acquisition. So is there a fact sheet where the data relating to acquisition is given? Now can we just control most of our answer around the fact sheet? So I even given you that perspective yesterday that when you look at the word fact sheet, you go back to the case study and you look at the exhibits. Now, one of the exhibit is a fact sheet. Look at this exhibit number 3, fact sheet relating to the proposed acquisition. So will most of my answer come from the fact sheet? Because that's the source document which contains information about acquisition. Is that clear? So exhibit number 3 is a fact sheet. So examiner is saying the chief business analyst has passed you a fact sheet which he prepared containing data relating to the proposed acquisition. So that means this is basically the exhibit 3, which will help you construct most of your answer, I'm not saying all the answer, most of your answer, because there might be some help in other exhibits as well. So is that good that you can pick up the exhibit here by looking at the word fact sheet? Okay, now you come to the requirement. Using the fact sheet, so using the exhibit 3 referred to above. So using the exhibit 3, as simple as that, and any other relevant information. So examiner is saying not just using the fact sheet, you can also use any other information. So is fact sheet primary source of information here? Agree or disagree? Is this fact sheet the priority information for me to make up the answer? Agree, disagree? Okay, but apart from the fact sheet, can I use some more information from the case study in Exhibit 1 or in Exhibit 2, in Exhibit 4 or in Exhibit 5? Can I use that as a secondary information? Yes, right? So using the fact sheet, that is primary. Can I ignore the fact sheet and write my answer from other exhibits? Can I ignore the fact sheet and write my answer from other exhibits? No. But can I include my answers from other exhibits alongside the exhibit 3? Alongside the exhibit 3? Yes, right? So good. So using the fact sheet referred to above, and a lot of time we miss and in the exam paper, and any other relevant information in the other exhibits, comma, prepare a report to the finance director which evaluates the proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel. So you need to evaluate the proposal. Now, again, there is no model. You just go journally. You look at the pros and cons of the proposal. What is good? What is bad? What is the good side of acquisition? What is the bad side of acquisition? So you just go journally discussing the financial factors or the non-financial factors in terms of the proposal and conclude whether the hotel should be acquired or not. So you just need to look into evaluate the proposal. So how would you go about evaluating the proposal? You have how many marks? You have 16 marks, and each valid point divided by 2 marks per well-developed point. 2 marks per well-developed point is equal to 8 good points. So you need to have 8 good points to evaluate the proposal. And yesterday, when we were reading the professional marks, the professional marks was telling us that you need to present a balanced and an objective appraisal of the acquisition. So I think you were with me on the day 2, presenting a balanced and an objective appraisal. So we need to write 8 points looking at the advantages and disadvantages, or looking at the pros and cons. And then we have to give a conclusion. So when you are evaluating the proposal, you will look at points in favor of the proposal and points against, and then you will finally give a conclusion whether we should acquire or not, whether we should acquire Comfy Stay, or not. Yes, you can use the SFA model. Very good answer, Mohammed Bakas. So see, you can pick up a model here as well, the SFA model. That's very good. But can we do it without the model, just looking at the points in favor of the acquisition and against the acquisition? Again, model may not be the best answer here. But if any student think of the SFA model, the suitability, the feasibility, and acceptability model, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So Mohammed Bakas, you can answer under the SFA model. But if one student doesn't answer under the SFA model, he just pick up points in favor and against by using the exhibit 3. So by using the exhibit 3, he pick up the points in favor and against. Will that student answer be valid or not? Yes, conclusion has to be the summary, and Ananya. You just need to sum up that if suppose you have more points in favor, so your conclusion will be in favor, right? You need to pick up the conclusive points. You need to justify in conclusion that you should go ahead with the acquisition. Conclusion is a summary, right? You cannot just restart writing the answer. Conclusion is just the summary of the information you give above in the answer. So conclusion should not be more than 2 sentences long. Should not be more than 2 sentences long. Conclusion is a summary of what you presented above. Is everyone clear? So points in favor and points in against. Is that one way you can write up the answer and finish up the answer in evaluating the proposals? And one student, just like Mohammed Bakas told us, that I can also write the answer this way. This is the way 1 to write the answer, but this is the way 2 to write the answer. So Mohammed Bakas is saying, if I write the answer using the SFA model, I hope you all know the SFA model, right? The short form. So using the SFA model, Can the question be answered? Yes. Can the question be answered? Yes. So Mohammed Vikas, you can go with SFA model and accumulate your 16 marks. So suppose under suitability, if you develop 2 points under suitability, you will get 4 marks. Under feasibility, if you develop 3 points, you get 6 marks, right? So how many headings will you use? Suitability, feasibility, and acceptability, right? And then how many points you should be writing? In total 8. So under one heading you can write 2, under one heading you can write 3, under one heading you can write 3. It's totally up to you. How many points in total should be under 3 headings? How many points should be under 3 headings? In total 8. So you can write more under 1, less under 1. It's totally up to you, right? Is that clear? So wave 1 and wave 2. So is that decreasing your stress level, that when you look at a question, don't just limit the answer by choosing a model. If you can abruptly think of a model, just like Mohammed Vikas did, SFA model, go with it. But if you cannot abruptly think of a model, don't waste time on it. Just try to answer the question journally. In the first question, if anyone abruptly picks the Porter diamond, go ahead. But if you don't pick up the Porter diamond, then just look at the key factors which made you successful. So can a question be answered without a model? Are you learning that? So if any one of you struggle picking up the model, just ignore the model and move ahead. You will still be rewarded. So I hope one of the key learning today is model may not be the best answer. I hope you all agree with me. So are you getting the track of how you read a question, how you pick up the requirement of a question, how you think about how many points to write, looking at the marking schemes? Okay, and Bezat, I hope your confidence level must have been boosted because you didn't pick up the Porter diamond when we were discussing the first question. So model may not be the best answer, might be reducing the stress level for many students taking this live webinar. I hope you agree. Right? Wonderful. Okay, we'll be going to a break now, and post break we'll start with a few of the more requirements just to make ourselves excellent on the same understanding today. Just let me keep the question in front of you. And tomorrow when we come on day 4 and I start taking the platform, and on the platform, I tell you how you read, how you plan, how you spend your 1 hour and how you spend your remaining 3 hours, how you read, how you write. I think that session will be amazing for you because we've already done the professional marks and we are already doing the technical marks today. So when we come tomorrow, we'll bring the whole 100 marks paper together, the same paper. Okay, now you go to the next question 2. Now, every time you look at a question, again, the question starts with the case study. The case study just develop the perspective. And then after that is a requirement. And after the requirement is the professional mark. So I hope you're becoming understandable of the way the task is presented. So how many parts are there of a task? How many parts are there of a task? 3. The first is a short case, which develops a perspective. Then is the requirement, followed by the professional marks, right? Good. Now, right after the break, we'll go with requirement number 2A. We'll break it up and we'll see, is there any need of a model here, or we can just do it without a model? And we'll then go down to 2B. We'll see, is there any need of a model here? Can we just go without a model? And if we have time, we'll go to the 3A. We'll see, is there any need of a model in 3A? Can we do it without a model? And 3B. So we'll wrap it up, right? So we'll just spend quick time on each of the requirements, 3A, 3B, 2A, 2B, and we'll just try wrapping up the December 18 paper in terms of the technical aspect, right? Is that clear to all of you? Can we just take a break now? So we're taking a 15 minutes break. I hope that's fine with you. We'll resume back at 5:05. Let me put that in the chat box for all of you. We'll resume at 5:05 p.m. Pakistan time. So that's 15 minutes from now. You can have a cup of tea and you can come back, relax, sit down, and enjoy the remaining 55 minutes of the webinar. But I hope you had a productive session today in terms of learning something. Did you got some learnings today over the first 1.5 hour? Have you got some productive learnings today? Did you got something today? What was the one key thing you learned today? What is the one key thing you learned today before you go to the break? Okay, no use of model. Very good. Model is not required. Okay, good. Abin. So both of you picking up the same thing, breaking down the requirement. That's wonderful. Model is not always the good answer. Very good. Okay, fine. Off to a break, right? We'll come back at 5:05. That's another 12 minutes from now. Have a good break. Come back to the class. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, all of you, for the feedback. Teopista, Ikra, Aruna, Claudia, Ikra, Archana, Mohammed Wakas, Abin, and Rahullah. Thank you so much. I'm just muting myself and putting my camera off. We'll resume back at 5:05. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. Please confirm that before we can start the last part of this day 3 webinar to success for SBL. Okay, thank you so much, Nizin, for confirming that you can hear me. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, let's resume down with the session, the last part of the day 3 webinar to success. Now we were looking at the technical marks, right? And that's exactly what I am proceeding with. The requirement is in front of your screen. Let's see what the requirement is asking for. I'm just copying the requirement to A on my Word file, task 2A, and we'll just analyze what the task 2A is asking for and how we will go about answering the question. Because I think half the tension goes down if you're able to understand what the question is asking for. But if you're not unable to understand what the question is asking for, you will not be writing a good answer. So to write a good answer, the first key step is to understand the requirement. And a lot of time the student don't do that. They don't understand the importance of the time you are putting on reading the requirement. They are in so much rush in exam that their primary focus is just to write, is just to type. They're not bothered about the time you are investing in terms of reading and planning. The reading and planning is the investment, and the return is the quality answer. So the more time you spend on reading and planning, you will be getting a quality answer at the end of the day. Okay, let's do the task 2A on your screen. The task 2A have a short paragraph. Let's see what the paragraph is telling us in terms of perspective. Following a subsequent decision by the highlight board, the proposed acquisition of Comfy Hotel has recently been announced to the D-Land stock market. And generally, the market has reacted positively to the announcement. So I think the company has gone ahead with the acquisition. So the proposed acquisition has recently been announced to the stock market, and the market has reacted very favorably to the decision of the company. So is the investors happy with this decision? Is the shareholders happy with this decision that the company is going ahead with the acquisition of a Comfy Stay hotel and they're entering a new country, which is Willendia? So away from D-Land, they're going into Willendia to grow the business, right? So Highlight has already grown in D-Land. Now they want to grow in Willendia, and already the proposed acquisition has been announced at the stock market, and the stock market has responded favorably to that, right? Is that wonderful? Yes. Okay, next. However, there have been some negative press reports in the D-Land daily news. So newspaper is not happy. The media is not happy with your proposed acquisition. The media is against your acquisition here. So there has been some negative press in the D-Land daily newspaper. And when I was discussing the professional marks with you yesterday, I did discuss with you that most of the time in the SBL paper, one of the exhibit is about a newspaper. Look at here. Exhibit number 4. Can you see that's on your screen? Exhibit 4, D-Land Daily News article. Now, most of the time, the article in the newspaper, in the SPL paper, is about negative criticism. Very rarely in the past papers, some of them, we have seen that the newspaper is covering a positive story about the company. But most of the time, the newspaper is covering the negative press about the company. And so is the case here. So we have an exhibit 4. Okay, so that means negative press reports in the D-Land Daily News. So I will write in the bracket over here, exhibit 4. So exhibit 4 is telling me that there is some negative press. So most of my answer will come from the exhibit 4 about the proposed acquisition, criticizing Highlight. So the newspaper is criticizing Highlight, which is very bad, because if the newspaper is criticizing Highlight, will that put a bad image on the company? Will that bring a bad reputation to the hotel before they enter Willendia? And no company or no shareholder would like a bad reputation of a company. And if there is any negative press, the negative press will affect the image of the company. The chief executive of Highlight is very concerned about this, and he should be, because it is bringing a bad image to the Highlight Hotel. So he's very concerned about these reports and has asked the business analysis team to consider the Highlight response. So you need to consider what should be the Highlight response to the criticism. Is that very simple? So when you read the opening paragraph, do the opening paragraph give you a perspective before you read the requirement? So what perspective are we getting from the opening paragraph? From the opening paragraph, we're getting a perspective that there is some negative press. There is some negative press in Exhibit 4. There is some negative press in Exhibit 4, number 1. And there have been the press is criticizing Highlight. So Highlight is not happy about that. The chief executive is very disturbed with that. And the chief executive wants to get a response. So press is criticizing, just let me make the spelling correction, criticizing Highlight. And the chief executive officer, the CEO, wants the Highlight response. The chief executive officer wants the Highlight response to criticism. So CEO is looking for the response of Highlight to the criticism coming in the newspaper, so that the reputational risk is put down. So see the perspective. So when you read the intro paras before the requirement, is intro para giving you some sort of a mindset that what we need to do in the requirement? So there is a negative press. The negative press is bringing a bad image to the company, and the CEO is very concerned. He wants to put a response against the bad press to mitigate the risk. Now we come to the requirement. Now, when the company has to respond to a press, the best way to respond to a press is through what? Is through a press release. And we know this press release gets to the newspaper. This press release also get to the website of the company. So how you counter attack the newspaper? The best way to counter attack the newspaper always is a press release. And you should know the format of a press release from the document I referred yesterday, which is the importance of effective communication in SBL, has given you the format of a press release. And you can refer to the examiner answer as well for the format of the press release. So prepare a press release responding to the criticism. Have you already got that from the CEO statement that we need to consider the responses of Highlight? So see, the opening paragraph gives you the perspective even before you come to the requirement. So you need to respond to the criticism, right? That's your requirement. Respond to criticism. So one thing we have to do in 10 marks is, for 10 marks, we have divided by 2 is equal to 5 good points we have to write. And in the 5 good points, the one thing we have to write in 5 good points is that we need to respond to criticism, which has come in the press. Respond to criticism in the press in exhibit number 4. So we go to exhibit number 4, we'll see the negative press and we'll respond to this. Responding to the criticism. Assessing the social and environmental impact of investment in Villandia. So the criticism is on the social and the environmental impact of the acquisition. So I think the newspaper is not happy with the social side of your acquisition and the environmental side of your acquisition. So there must be something against the social and environment. So I think the newspaper is not happy with the social side, which is the society, the public, the people, and they're not very happy with planet. So what is the criticism about? The criticism is about social and the criticism is about environment, right? So 2 areas where the criticism must be in the newspaper. So responding to the criticism in the press about social plus planet, right? Comma. And after the comma, with a view. So when you are responding to a criticism, you have to respond to a criticism with a view of reassuring stakeholder. You need to reassure the stakeholders that everything is right. Whatever the newspaper is saying is wrong. You need to reassure the stakeholders. So when you're responding to a criticism, you have to respond to a criticism with a view of reassuring stakeholders. because they might not be happy with the negative press which came in the newspaper. So if I read a newspaper in the morning and I'll say, oh, there is something bad about D-Land. There is something bad about Highlight. So I'll start thinking Highlight is a bad company. But I just need to reassure the stakeholder that Highlight is not a bad company. What is written in the newspaper is wrong. So I need to reassure the stakeholders of the Highlight intention to maintain high principles and standards in acquiring coffee stay hotels. So I need to counter attack the negative press telling that Highlight is a business which maintains high principles and standards, Control C. So with a view of reassuring stakeholder that Highlight always maintain high principles and standards, comma, full stop. Now, when I am developing a point for 2 marks, I am picking up the criticism and I'm responding to the criticism with a view of reassuring the stakeholder. So with a view of reassuring the stakeholder, is that a separate 2 marks? No, because when you are developing a 2 mark point, in that you are responding to a criticism with a view of reassuring stakeholder that Highlight maintains the high principles and standards. Now look at this. I'll develop it for you. When you develop a 2 mark point, in that 2 mark point, what will you do? In that 2 mark point, when you're developing it, you will first respond to the criticism, taking into account, sorry, you will not first, you will, just 1 minute, you will respond to criticism with a view to reassure stakeholders, of the high standards Highlight set in acquiring comfy stay. So you will tell the stakeholders that we have set the high standards, we have set the high principles, and we acquired the comfy stay hotel. We have looked at the social side, we have looked at the planet side. So whatever the newspaper is telling is absolutely rubbish or wrong, set in acquiring comfy stay. Okay, let's do one exercise on it, right? Okay, where will we get the criticism? In the exhibit 4, right? So we'll pick up a criticism, we'll respond to it with a view of reassuring stakeholder that as a Highlight hotel, we set high standards whenever we do something, right? Are you getting what I am discussing with you? Are you getting the breakdown of the question? That you need to write a press release, you need to respond to the criticism, and every time you're responding to a criticism, you need to reassure the stakeholders who must be dissatisfied with the company's negative press. You need to reassure them that everything is good and we believe in high standards whenever whatever we do, right? Okay, let's go do one exercise. Let's pick up the December 18. Let's go to the exhibit number 4. Okay, exhibit number 4. Okay, can you see the exhibit number 4 on your screen, the newspaper? Okay, let's pick up one of the criticism, right? I'll just choose it. The opening paragraph is just telling us that Highlight Hotel is going to Valendia, and the comfy stay owners, the D. Walt family, announced their intention to sell a few months ago. Its chief executive, D. Walt, admitted in an interview last month that the family has failed to recognize and keep up with investment demands of a modern hotel, and that's the reason Highlight is acquiring them, but was confident that the new owner would revitalize the business, right? But in its potential acquisition by Highlight, a positive move for D-Land. So the newspaper is questioning that Highlight acquisition of comfy stay, is that good, is that bad? And you come to the issue. Reading its recently published chief executive statement, Highlight is a business which clearly prides itself on value it places on staff and maintaining strong employment rights. So is that something of their value, Highlight? So Highlight believes in staff, and Highlight believes in highest employment rights. 1. However, staff in comfy stay hotels are currently paid below the rate of pay earned by staff in D-land. Is that the first criticism the newspaper is drawing attention to? The newspaper is saying that the staff in Comfy Stay is being paid low in comparison to the staff being paid in D-land. And they're very vocal of that. However, we know that Highlight is a hotel which believes in maintaining strong employment rights. Yes or no? So should we tell the stakeholders that when we acquire Comfy Stay, we will readjust the package, we will readjust the wage package, the salary package. Comfy Stay hotels are currently paid below when you have acquired them, or this is before acquiring? When you have acquired them, or this is before acquiring? Before. So once Highlight Hotel will acquire Comfy Stay, will Highlight management brings the salary of the Comfy Stay staff equal to that of Highlight Hotel, because they believe in highest standards of employment rights, right? So will you counterattack the statement? Will you counterattack that currently they're paid less? That's fine, because currently you have not acquired the business. But once you acquire the business, you will definitely bring the level of salaries equal to the one offered by Highlight. So is Highlight believing in strong employment rights? Will they implement the strong employment rights once the hotel is acquired? So currently, if the staff is paid less, is that an issue? Because they've not yet acquired it. Currently, if the staff is paid less, is that an issue? No, because they've not yet acquired it. But when they acquire it, will it become par? Yes. And you go back to the exhibit number 2, I guess. And in the exhibit number 2, see what they've given here. Look at this. See, commitment to staff. Look at their commitment to staff. Look at their staff retention rate. The staff retention rate is so good, 52% against the target of 55. That's not bad. 6.2 training days per employee. How much training are they giving to employees? 6.2 training days against a target of 5.5. Are they exceeding the targets? Yes. And even in terms of the staff retention, they're very close to the target of 55%. So does that demonstrate the highest standards of staff commitment in place at Highlight Hotel? Will they do the same? Will they do the same when they come back acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel? Look at this first paragraph from the Chief Executive Officer here. Along with our superb hotel staff who delivers a great service every day. And I think in this paragraph of the Chief Executive Officer of Highlight Hotel, they really acknowledge their staff here. See this. See this. We will continue to commit to staff development. So the company is committing to staff development for future. We welcome the introduction of the new D-Land National Living Wage, which will implement in next 6 months in advance. See, they're working so much on, we are committed to creating a great place to work with strong commitment to equality and diversity. See, do they have higher standards of equality and diversity? Do they have higher standards of a great working place? Do they have a higher standards of committing to staff development? Do they already have a very good retention rate? Do they have a very good training days per employee? So will that be materialized when you acquire the Comfy Stay Hotel? So currently the argument coming in the newspaper is very vague. So if you develop a point, see how you develop it. Let me copy the point and help you with the development and tell you how you pick up a point and how you develop a point. See, if I'm attempting I'm attempting the SBL paper as a student, I'll just take this point from here, however, and I'll just copy this point, however, Control C, and I take it back to my word processor, which is right here. And as an example, suppose this is my word processor. So as an example, I just put this in my word processor, copy paste. See, I put the whole line, copy paste. Now I'll convert this whole line into a heading and a paragraph. So first I put the criticism, then I'll respond to the criticism with a view to reassure, and I'll write not more than 4 sentences, right? However, staff in comfy stay hotels are currently paid well below the rate of pay earned by their equivalent staff in D-land. So what should be the heading? Comfy stay hotel staff paid less, heading, right? So I should put the heading of the criticism. That becomes the heading. Now, after this heading, I should respond to the criticism and I should reassure the stakeholder. See, how would I go about it? Currently, the staff at Comfy Stay Hotel is paid less, which is below what staff is paid at Highlight in D-land. But this will be, this low wage practice at Comfy Stay will be revised and revisited once the acquisition is completed and the highlight highest principles of equality, of highest principles of staff commitment, including equality, will be implemented, and the salary will be revised to bring it at par with staff in D-land, at par with staff working in Highlight hotels in D-land. So there will be equality, right? The staff in Comfy Stay will exactly be paid the same to the staff being paid in D-land, because you believe in loyalty. You believe in equality. Now let me read my statement. Currently, the staff at Comfy Stay Hotel is paid less, no doubt about it, which is below what staff is paid at Highlight in D-land. You agree, but you tell the shareholders and the stakeholder that this low wage practice at Comfy Stay is short term, as the Highlight Hotel is currently acquiring Comfy Stay, and will be revised and revisited once the acquisition is completed. Acquisition is completed. Full stop. Highlight puts in place highest principles of staff commitment, including equality, and this will be implemented post acquisition, and the salary will be revised to bring it at par with the staff working in Highlight Hotel in D-land. So are we reassuring that the staff salary will be at par? Are we reassuring that the highest standards will be implemented? Are we reassuring that post acquisition there will be no difference between Comfy Stay and Highlight? Post acquisition there will be no difference between Belendia and D-land. So are we reassuring the criticism? Are we responding to a criticism with the view of reassuring everyone? Look at my paragraph here. Are we responding to the criticism that this is a short-term phenomena because currently we have not acquired it? And are we also reassuring the stakeholder that this will become par with the salary structure in D-land? How many sentences have I wrote? Look at the number of full stops. 1 full stop, 2 full stops, and 3. I almost wrote 3 sentences. So, and that's my paragraph worth 2 marks. I hope you're getting some sense. So no paragraph should be more than 4 sentences long. You could have written 1 more sentence max. But did I dragged my point, or did I just in the first 1 or 2 sentence, I focused on responding to the criticism, saying it's a short-term phenomena and this is something pre-acquisition. But post-acquisition, I reassure that everything will be in order, and post-acquisition, everything will be at par with the highest standards of the highlight total. So I responded and I reassured for 2 marks. Are you getting what you need to do with this question for 10 marks? You need to respond to the criticism in the exhibit 4 with a view of reassuring the stakeholder of the highest standards put in place at the highlight total. Where can you get the highest standards? Either you get the highest standards in itself in the exhibit number 4. See, in the exhibit number 4, the newspaper is also telling the highlight highest standards, but then they are criticizing. So at times you can get the highest standards within the newspaper as well. Or if you want to look at the highest standards of the hotel, you can go to the exhibit number 2. In the exhibit number 2, you can see their highest standards in the form of their key performing indicators. Look at the key performing indicators: customers, environment. So if the newspaper is criticizing the environment, you can quote your key performing indicators for environment. You can say that you're already very focal on reduction in the CO2 emission. You are very focused on recycling. So do you have higher standards of recycling and higher standards of reduction, environmental reductions? You can use retentions, Amisha, if there is any concern on retentions. I believe in the newspaper, there is some concern on diversity. There is some concern on equality. So if there is a point on diversity, you can quote their key performing indicators about diversity. So you need to attack every point with a different reassuring. So there is so much of the highest standards given in the exam paper about highlight in this exhibit number 2 on your screen. And they've given so much in the CEO statement. When you read the CEO statement itself gives you so much of the high standards you have in place at highlight. So I hope if you use the exhibit number 1, the exhibit number 1 will help you reassuring the stakeholders, and the exhibit number 4 will help you pick up the negative side. Is that clear to all of you? Are you clear with the question number 2 we were discussing? 2A. Okay, one more question and we're exiting, right? Okay, we're taking the task number 2B in focus now. Let's copy the task number 2B. Control C, we go back to the Word file. We'll take on the task 2B. We discussed the professional marks yesterday, so we're not focusing on them. Okay, we're going to the task 2B now. So reading the requirement, is that important? Tell me, are you getting the sense of how much time you should be spending on reading, breaking, understanding the requirement? Does that make sense? The time you spend on reading the requirement, is that useless? Is that beneficial? The time you spend on reading the requirement, is that useless? Is that beneficial? That is beneficial, right? Will that help you frame a good answer? If you don't understand the requirement, will you be able to write a good answer? If you don't understand the requirement, will you be able to write a good answer? No. So how much time you need to spend on reading and planning, that is the agenda of the day for tomorrow, the final day, when I'll come back and discuss with you how you go about with things. Let's look at the task 2B in front of your screen. Although Highlight shareholder have generally responded favorably to the proposed acquisition. So shareholders have responded favorably to the proposed acquisition of the Comfy Stay Hotel, comma, Highlight board is considering how it should effectively communicate with all of its key stakeholders to ensure that they understand the strategic decision and direction of the business. So Highlight is very much concerned here. They want to consider how it should effectively communicate as a business with the key stakeholders. With all the stakeholders? No, with the key stakeholders, right? Those who have high powers or high interest, or those who have high power and low interest. So like Keep Satisfied and key players, the two categories of stakeholders in Menlo, Keep Satisfied and key players, considered as important stakeholders of the company in terms of having a high power. So how it should communicate effectively with its key stakeholders to ensure that they understand the strategic decision. So how would the stakeholder understand the strategic decision? Which strategic decision? Have they taken any strategic decision in this question? That they understand the strategic decision, which is the acquisition, right? Acquisition of the Comfy Stay Hotel. And direction of the business. Direction of the business means future, the future directions of the business. So you want to communicate with the key stakeholders in a very effective manner so that the stakeholders understand your strategic decisions and the stakeholder understand the direction of your business. The finance director has recently asked the board to consider the use of integrated reporting in assisting in this communication. So the finance director believed that if we get the integrated reporting in place, the integrated reporting will help in assisting this communication. Which communication? The communication with the key stakeholder and in building relationship with the stakeholders. So if we get integrated reporting in place, the integrated reporting will help in the effective communication with stakeholder and in building relationship with stakeholders, full stop. Now, when you look at the perspective, you get half the requirement done. The perspective is, currently, do the company have integrated reporting or not? Perspective, do the company currently has integrated reporting in place? Has integrated reporting in place? No. Very good answer. No. So are they thinking of having it in place? Are they thinking of having it in place? Are they thinking of having it in place? The question mark, yes. So when they're thinking to have it in place, they're thinking about the benefits. That the board is considering that they want the integrated reporting so that they can effectively communicate with stakeholders. All no key to ensure they understand the strategic decision. So the board wants, number one, an effective communication. The board wants, number one, an effective communication with stakeholders on, do they want communication with stakeholders on what? Number one, strategic decisions, like the one they took, strategic decisions, like acquisition recently, and on the direction of the business, that is future course of business. So they want to have an effective communication with stakeholders on the strategic decisions and on the future course of the business. And that is why they want the integrated reporting to come in place. So do they have a definite objective of introducing the integrated reporting? Because they believe if integrated reporting comes in, we will better communicate our strategic decisions and we will better communicate our future course of actions to these stakeholders. And the finance director believes the integrated reporting is the breakthrough for that. So an effective communication with stakeholder and building relationships with them. Do you believe effective communication will help build relationships? Building relationship is equal to effective communication? So when you have an effective communication, is that definite you will have a building relationship? Yes. So the question is straightforward. The company wants to bring in place an integrated reporting for the first time. And they believe that if integrated reporting comes in place, it will help them with an effective communication with stakeholders on their strategic decisions about their future course of action. And this will help maintain a very good relationship with the stakeholders. Now, with that perspective in mind, the question comes to you. The finance director has asked you to provide her with a briefing notes in which she will use to assist her in the discussion with the board members, which assess the role and benefits of integrated reporting in effective communication and building relationships. So effective communication and building relationship, what is the role and benefits of integrated reporting? And you come down and you say, oh, this is a pretty simple question. We just need to discuss the roles and benefits of integrated reporting. Roles and benefits of integrated reporting in effective communication, and in building relationships, with key stakeholders. Bracket close. We have 12 marks divided by 2 per valid point is equal to 6 valid points to write. Now, some of them can be role and some of them can be benefits, but in total, you have to write in 6 to wrap up the answer for 12 marks in the format of a briefing note. Now, listen to it very carefully. When you are writing the roles and benefits of integrated reporting, you might be writing a very weak answer if you start telling the perspective of integrated reporting. Or you start telling that integrated reporting has 6 capitals: financial capital, human capital, manufactured capital, intellectual capital. You're writing a bookish knowledge. Examiner is not asking you to write the capitals here or tell the examiner what is integrated reporting or what is the purpose of integrated reporting. Examiner wants you to write in the context of the case, what is the role and what is the benefit of integrated reporting to the highlight total, and how will this help highlight total in an effective communication, and how this will help highlight total in building relationship with key stakeholders. So when you are thinking about writing benefits, the benefits should focus on, number one, how integrated reporting will help highlight in an effective communication with key stakeholders, particularly about strategic decisions and future course of and direction of the business and future direction of the business. So if any student writes the benefit of integrated reporting in context of the highlight business, particularly how integrated reporting will help highlight in an effective communication with its key stakeholder, particularly about the strategic decisions and future direction of the business, you are writing a worthy benefit. But if you're writing a miscellaneous benefit, which is not about effective communication, or you're writing a miscellaneous benefit, which is not about strategic decisions, which is not about the future course of business, that's useless. Second, should focus on how integrated reporting will help highlight in maintaining good relationships with stakeholders. So some of your benefits should be around maintaining good relationships. Some of your benefits should be around effective communication with the key stakeholders. So if you are writing benefits around what the examiner is asking you, your benefits are worthy. Your benefits are too good to get 2 marks. But if you're writing journal benefits, which are not about effective communication, if you're writing journal benefits, which are not around maintaining good relationships, that's useless. So you learn the benefits of integrated reporting from a Kaplan book and a BPP book, and you reproduce that. Useless. Are you getting the perspective of benefits? From where did I get the bullet number 1 of benefit? From where did I get the bullet number 2 of benefit? From reading the case study, from reading the paragraph above the requirement, that this is what Highlight wants to do with integrated reporting. They want to effectively communicate. That is one benefit they want to get. And the second benefit they want to get is a good relationship, right? So is that the two benefits they're looking for when they bring the integrated reporting in place, everyone? Right? Is that the two benefits the board of directors are looking for when they implement the integrated reporting? But if in your list of benefits these are missing, is that a good list of benefit? That's useless, right? Now just understand quickly one thing. When you start to write an answer, you will put the heading integrated reporting. And the very first thing you will tell under the integrated reporting is the role. What is the role of integrated reporting? Now, for example, you write the role of integrated reporting, taking the knowledge, adapting to the case study. For example, if I'm writing the role of integrated reporting, I will tailor the role in the context of the case study. I'll say the role of integrated reporting. I'm just saving my time and writing the short word. The role of integrated reporting is to provide concise and effective communication to the key stakeholders of Highlight Hotel. The role of integrated reporting is to provide a concise and effective communication to the key stakeholders of Highlight Hotel about Highlight governance, performance, prospects, and strategy. This is basically the 4 things, right? The integrated reporting do internally. So I'm saying the role of the integrated reporting, the role of the integrated reporting is to provide concise and effective communication to the key stakeholders of Highlight Hotel about Highlight's governance, about Highlight's performance, about Highlight's prospects, and about Highlight's strategy. So there are 4 things, right, which comes under integrated reporting. Under integrated reporting, you tell us about your systems, governance. You tell about your strategies, the future. You tell about your prospects, what will you do in future? And you tell about your performance, your actual performance in a concise way to the key stakeholders. So every key stakeholder will get to know about your governance, about your performance, about your prospects and strategy in a more concise way. So that is one of the role, right, of an integrated reporting. So you need to explain this role in like a 3 to 4 sentences to fetch 2 marks for the role. So that's one role of the integrated reporting. Further, integrated reporting provides information about 6 capitals which are used within the Highlight Hotel, and accumulatively lead to value creation. I'm just giving you a thought process and you need to translate this into paragraphs. Further, integrated reporting provides information about 6 capitals which are used within the Highlight Hotels and accumulatively lead to value creation. Accumulatively leads to value creation over short term to long term. I hope you know the benefits of these 6 capitals. That the 6 capitals, when they work together, they create a short-term value and a long-term value for the business. Create over short-term and long-term, full stop. This is some sort of a thought process where you will sit down and extract your points and formulate an answer. But this is just like one sentence, right? You need to translate into like 2 to 3 sentences by picking up my perspective here. Now, when you come to the benefits, for the benefits, obviously, you will read the case study. And from the case study, you will get to know a lot about what the directors want. You already know the director wants to have an effective communication with stakeholders about the strategic decisions, and the director wants to maintain good relationship. Keeping that in mind, you start thinking about what sort of benefits you will be writing about integrated reporting for the company Highlight. Now, where will you get the answer from? You get to the case study in the minutes of the meeting, because they've discussed this in the minutes of the meeting. Look at this, minutes of the meeting. the next page, minutes of the board meeting, right? Exhibit number 6 on your screen. Now, in the minutes of the meeting, you will look at the agenda. The agenda item 1 is about disruptive technology. We're not covering that. Then you come to the agenda item 2, which is about information system risk and controls. And then there is, I think, the agenda. No, I think this is then covered in the other appendix. Let me confirm that. If it is not covered here, it's covered in the previous one, right? Which is this one. Sorry, this is the exhibit number 5 where it is covered, right? Exhibit 5 is the senior team briefing, right? So in the senior team briefing in the exhibit number 5, you will see a lot of question and answers going on. And in this question and answer, you will find some question and answers about integrated reporting right over here. Write this. Look at this last comment here. Look at this. Can you just read this out quickly? Elizabeth Fox. Can you just read the comment of Elizabeth Fox here? Exhibit number 5. Can you just read the comment of Elizabeth Fox on your screen? Right. So is she telling we have wide stakeholders as a whole? We have customers, we have employees, we have customers, we have employees, we have suppliers, we have pressure groups, and each one of them needs information from us, right? And look at the last one. Okay, can you read the comment of Bernie Vokes in the last? Can you just read the comment of Bernie Vokes in the last one quickly? Right. So is the board of director mentally ready to go ahead with integrated reporting, but are they looking for more information on its roles and benefit? Now, if you want to know the stakeholders of this business, some of the stakeholders, when you read through the exhibits, you will identify them, but some of the stakeholders are already given above. Look at this. Shareholders, one of the stakeholder. Customers, one of the stakeholder. Staff is one of the stakeholder. And the last one is environment. So can an integrated reporting provides information about staff? And can that help build good relationship with the staff? Can integrated reporting provide information about their financial performance, which helps them connect with shareholders? Can integrated reporting provides information about customer satisfactions and customer feedback, which will help them connect with the customer? Can integrated reporting provide information about the planet, about the recycling, about the reduction in the pollution? Will that help you connect with the environmental stakeholders? So are there 4 diversified stakeholders currently in front of your screen, which needs different set of information? You have human capital. You have human capital as one capital of integrated reporting. You have a natural capital. You have the shareholders, the financial capitals, and you have the relationship capital, customers, the relationship capital. So can you see the 4 capitals in front of your screen, which can get connected here, everyone? So you can pick things up from the case study, right? When you're thinking about the benefits, you can think about who the key stakeholders are. Who are the key stakeholders of this business? And you say, okay, the key stakeholders of this business are staff, customers, shareholders, because they're mentioned in the case study, and the environment. Environment is a key stakeholder, right? It means the pressure groups. So these are the key stakeholders for the business. And they need to publish information for them to maintain an effective relationship with them. So these are the key stakeholders, right? And you want to maintain an effective relationship with all of them. Effective relationship with all of them. So what will you communicate to them? What will be the communication with them in order to keep a good relationship with them? So can you write benefits around shareholders, benefit around customers, benefit around staff to make up a good list of benefits, everyone? So you need to dig the case, right? You need to investigate the case. The more you dig the case, the more you investigate the case, the better the answer you will get out of the case study. Yes, obviously your potential investors are also your stakeholders, right? You can also write about them. So what is the summary we're getting today from this day 3, where we investigated the technical marks? If we just make a quick summary, I think I'm writing something here, and I want you to read it as I'm writing, because this is what I believe should be the message from the day 3 summary. You should dig the requirements. You should dig the requirement carefully. That is, carefully spend time on breaking the requirement and trying to understand every bit of it, to formulate a very good answer. Full stop. Further, you should ensure that within a requirement, what is the expectation? What is the expectation of your examiner, which is normally provided in the short para above the requirement, the short para above the requirement. So the short para above the requirement exactly tells what is the expectation of the examiner, what the examiner wants you to do. So every time you read the short paragraph above the requirement, it tells you the perspective. So you should know the perspective in which you are answering the question. So further, you should ensure that within a requirement, what is the expectation of your examiner, which is normally provided in the short paragraph above requirement, which sets the perspective, Is that clear to all of you? So you should know the perspective, you should dig the requirement, carefully break the requirement, try to understand what the requirement is asking for you. Finally, look at the number of marks and think how many points you should write. Now, because you are not good at writing all points as good ones, so can you write 1 to 2 extra points? The answer is yes, if you have time. So suppose a question is 10 marks, you need to write 5 points. So instead of 5, can you write 7? Because you are not sure which of your point is weak and which of your point is strong. So can you write 1 to 2 extra points? Everyone, can we write 1 to 2 extra points if we have time? But not compromising the time, right? Not compromising the time. Are you getting my point here? So can we write 1 to 2 extra points? Only if we have time, because we are not sure which of our point is less worthy. So when your marker is checking the paper, and instead of 5 points, you wrote 7, he will read the 7, and whichever 5 is good, he will reward you on that. So that is the benefit of writing extra. But if you are writing extra and that's taking a lot of time, don't do that. So that's one perspective, right? The second perspective we got today was when writing, the answer should be explained in the context of case well synced to exhibits, and the exhibits information should be absorbed in your answer, right? That's the second good learning we got today. And the final good learning we got today, which you all appreciated, was that not necessarily every time the model is the best answer. Not every time the model is the best answer. You can even write an answer without model if you fail to pick one. Full stop. Is this summary good enough for you? Is this what we learned today from day 3 of this webinar? Have you got some guidance, suggestions of going down into the technical marks today on the day 3? Have you got the summary from the presentation? Have we got into some very specific comments of the examiner today? Have we got how you fetch 2 marks per well-developed point? What is a well-developed point, right? And case specific is the key, right? So I hope you got some techniques, some tips, which if you implement it over the next 12 days will be so very good for you in picking up more extra marks from technical side. Yesterday, we were looking at professional side, right? Now, just before I wind up my day 3 today, which was on the technical marks, just let me assign you what's coming up tomorrow. On the final day, day 4, we'll be looking into a deep investigation of a case study on a practice platform, because now we have done the professional marks, we have done the technical marks. So now we can look at the whole 100 marks paper on the practice platform, the December 18 paper, because we know it. So you know the December 18 paper, we have been using it for the last 2 days. So I'll put the December 18 paper on the platform. Then I'll tell you how you read, how you plan, and how you write. How much time you should give on reading and planning. Then when you are reading and planning, what is the benefit of using the highlighters, using the scratch pad, using the response options? How can you put the windows in front of your platform? How many windows should be there in front of the platform? So I think there might be lots of confusions relating to the practice platform and the computer-based exams, which gets mitigated tomorrow. So tomorrow is the final day where the mitigation comes on the practice platform, the computer-based exams, and using a case study on the practice platform so that you get the right exam rigor, because your paper is not pen and paper, your paper is a computer-based exam. So you should get the right rigor on the practice platform itself. So I hope to see you tomorrow on the final day. The timings of the final day will be changed. It will start at 5:30 p.m. Pakistan time, and it will go up to 7:30 p.m. Pakistan time. So it will start a bit late tomorrow because I have a coffee with tutor session coming up tomorrow at the same time when the webinar starts in. So I'll also put the message in the WhatsApp group that the session tomorrow will be connected at 5:30 p.m. and it will go maximum up to 8 p.m. right? So 5:30 to 8, right, will be the session timings tomorrow. I will communicate this also on the WhatsApp group. But those of you who have taken it live, please spread this message to the other students as well, that it is 5:30 to 8 tomorrow, right? Thank you so much for the feedback. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you back tomorrow with the SBL Webinar to Success, day 4. Till then, study effectively. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz. I'm your tutor Kashif Kamran, signing off from the SBL Webinar to Success, day 3, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Aruna, Hardeep, Eben, Krishna, Claudia. Thank you so very much for those wonderful comments. And it's nice seeing you all live again and again every day. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.